What's going on, Fortnite fans? My name's Luke-thenotable, and in this video, we'll be dropping into Polar Peak 100 times. Polar Peak is a great location in Fortnite, and not only for its loot, this place has a lot of secrets as well. So I dropped Polar Peak 100 times to learn the location and give myself an edge in battle. When I set out to do this, I didn't know much about Polar Peak, but by the end of these 100 drops, you'll see why it's now one of my favorite locations. But before I delve into all of the secrets of Polar Peak, I have to go over a few things first. And one of the first things you have to understand is that Polar Peak hasn't always looked like this. When Polar Peak first entered Fortnite, it was covered in snow. I do apologize, I don't have any footage of Polar Peak in its infancy. It just wasn't a very cool location. I never thought I'd go there 100 times. But throughout Season 7, the snow around Polar Peak has been thawing, and it has revealed a fairly big castle. And this large castle grounds is what I dropped into 100 times. And that's pretty much it. Polar Peak recently revealed itself to be a great location, so I dropped there 100 times. And I bet by now you're pretty much ready to get that started. So let's just get in to game number 1. Dropping in game number 1, I didn't have much experience with Polar Peak. The one thing I did know is it's always best to land on top. And in game number 1, I had no idea how to effectively loot Polar Peak. But you gotta know that there's a ton of loot here. The first time I came here, I was very confused. It's a windy little area. There's a lot of corners, a lot of ups and downs, and if you're not experienced with Polar Peak, it's pretty easy to get lost. The first player I had to kill was this default. I don't know why I sniped him first. I really just don't have any fear for those guys at all. After harvesting that default's life energy, I had to get down Polar Peak. I want you all to know that there's very easy zip lines. I didn't have to do any of this nonsense with the grappler, but I had no idea. Oh yeah, and the Ice Storm event was active in game, so there were zombies! Woohoo! Because we all loved them so much! Last time there were zombies in the game, I sort of avoided Fortnite. I made a small video and didn't really play much else. I've always regretted that, so this time I'm giving the zombies a full chance with 100 drops. It was painful. I just wanna let you all know. It's not like I found love in the zombies after 90 games. I think Fortnite's already pretty random, and these zombies just don't make it any better. I don't know, it's just kind of frustrating to have to shoot at a guy while also being attacked by zombies. Sometimes the zombies can work out in your favor. Here, 1v1, final circle. The only other guy in the match has a massive trail of zombies behind him. So that made it very easy to line up the shot, take him down, and for the first time ever, win game number 1 in 100 drops. But now it's time for game number 2, and you can tell that the bus was right over Polar Peak. It was a hot one. In game number 2, my drop was not as graceful. I didn't land on top of the castle, and worse yet, didn't find a gun. Miraculously, I found a couple guns and tried to take back my castle. I had 50 health and this guy had a rocket launcher. All he had to do to kill me was turn around and face me like a man. But he didn't, then died. I had rockets but was also severely injured until I found a slurp juice in the gamer house. For all the close calls I had in this game, it was pretty fitting that I died like this. After game number 2, wearing this skin felt appropriate. This is the first game where I unlocked the secrets of this round table. It has tons of stone if you just break it down. The chairs are also big wood too. But this time I couldn't farm the chairs because I heard the footsteps of another player. You're right on top of each other in Polar Peak, so this is fairly common. In this game, I surprised the other player with the first shot, which prompted him to pull out his rocket launcher. But I knew I would survive and kill him. Oh yeah, and now that I have a rocket launcher, I'm virtually unkillable. This is game number 3 and was played pretty quickly after the zombies first came to Fortnite, and it was pretty volatile. A lot of people were running into the zombie spawns trying to get loot. I almost died here, but still got him. The zombies just end up being another element of Fortnite craziness. In this game, though, it worked out well for me. The other player was surrounded by zombies while I shot at him. I figured he was pretty distracted, and he was, so I set up this turret. And I don't know about you, but if I was fighting zombies and someone pulled a turret out on me, there isn't much chance that I would make it. Game 4, I was alone in Polar Peak, so I got a chance to get all the juicy materials hidden inside. Remember, this stone table and the chairs are great. Then when it was time to leave, I just jumped off and deployed my glider. It's easily my favorite way to get out of Polar Peak. Because you're up so high, you can fly insanely far away, making a far first circle not that bad. My first kill was this defaulty boy, who learned that a crossbow is no match for a sniper. I grabbed a plane and stayed fairly conservative. It's a great way to avoid being swept up by the zombies. I'm gonna be honest, I had some lucky kills, so my guns and materials were insane. And as the circle started to shrink, I turned this into a 1v1. Using gliders, I got down before the other player, then used my minigun to shoot him out of the sky. He was already pretty low, died fairly quickly, and I won the game. I didn't really have to rub it in, but I did. Same situation in game number 5, alone in Polar Peak. It was great. This time I left with the zip line to the east, sprayed into this building and got a supremely lucky kill. Got another plane because they're really good. You could even pretty effectively kill monsters with them, so free shields. Again, made it to the end game, this time with not quite as many materials, but a good amount. 2 other players in the match besides me, they were fighting each other amongst a ton of zombies. When it turned into a 1v1, I knew the other player was low. He was pretty sneaky with this launch pad. I knew he was gonna try to pull something something crazy out, so I trapped up, but ultimately ended the game with my shotgun. And now we're in game 6, dropped on top of the castle, found a sniper, and actually used it. Didn't really have to shoot that guy, if I'm being honest. With the combination of planes and gliders, it was very easy to pounce on unsuspecting players killing zombies. It led to a lot of kills for me. I think players were just getting used to the gliders being back to the game at this point. I was able to skybase without any of these other guys knowing where I was. And in the end, it was a perfect scenario. The only other player in the match had to push towards me. I sprayed him down with my rifle and won the game. That right there? That's a record. But I think records are meant to be broken. Even if in this game I lost the top drop. In game 7, I just end up panicking. I'll show you what to do if you lose the top drop later on in this video. You know what you shouldn't do? Float slowly away with your glider so I can shoot you out of the sky. This player did, and died. Fast forward a little bit, 5 people left. I don't have perfect health, but I'm able to shoot these zombies from far away and get extra shields. Once I got my health to a more comfortable level, I dropped to this expedition outpost and found a distracted default. It was a very easy kill. This guy wanted a piece of me too, but I think he saw the John Wick skin and got paralyzed with fear. I've made this game into a 1 vs 1. I can't really see where the other guy is. He's been hiding for a little bit now. And when you hide, I know you're not good, so I just flew a plane around waiting for him to show himself. The only other player in the match finally showed himself. He had a quad launcher, but I was good enough at blocking him, so it was useless. After the 4th rocket, I built up a small structure and showed him my own quad launcher. Obviously, I did a little bit better than him with it. And yeah, that would be 5 in a row. Setting records, breaking records. I'm sorry, everyone else. In game 8, I got Polar Peak all to myself again. This led to some great weapons, good materials, and good position. But my plane also helped. In my quest for victory, I was attacked from atop a mountain. I killed the other player, but glider redeploy wouldn't save me from the fall this time. Watching this one back, I don't know why it wouldn't let me glider redeploy. Just the option went away. I don't know. It's really unfortunate, because game 9, I got Polar Peak all to myself again. A lot of people think that with the new minigun nerfs, the gun is useless. Let me just tell you, this thing shreds. You just gotta pull it out at the right time. This was a pretty lucky game for me. The only other player in the match had to push towards me, and between us was a bunch of zombies. You can imagine how difficult it would be to push towards a prepared metal structure on top of a mountain while zombies are attacking you and I have a minigun. This guy had little to no chance, and I won the game. I'm telling you right now, I win a ton of games in the first 10. I think, what, 7 wins in the first 10? That's insane. 70% win ratio. I think that's just because the zombies were new and fresh right now. Not everyone knew how to exactly play with them. I remember these zombies from Fortnitemares because Epic Games didn't change them at all. But I think by this time, players started to really understand how to deal with the zombies, at least a little bit. Though in game 10, no zombies contributed to my death. I was sniped. You know what? 3rd place ain't bad. Game 11, I wasn't able to get the top drop, but there's enough loot on the outside of the castle that you should be fine. This is the first of many games where I was killing zombies, minding my own business, and I was attacked. I fought okay, but I was on 60 health from the get-go. Game 12, I used the visualize sound effects mode. It shows you where footsteps are of other players. Primarily, I use it to find chests. But the only thing I found was this default. I'm just gonna skip to my death on this one. Watching it back in slow motion, I definitely put a floor down here. Game 13 started okay. I had a gun, and this Ice King didn't. I ended this one pretty quickly with a bonk on the head. While rifting away, I found a quad crasher. My plan was to jump on the back and shoot him in the face, but he got out before I could do any of that, so I shot him in the face anyway. That guy had potential. That storm was moving, and for once I was on a pretty nice end of it. I shouldn't wear the soccer skin, man. I put this thing on, I reached unholy levels of confidence. Obviously, it was getting a little bit crazy in the open fields of Lazy Links, but I lived, had 7 kills too. But in the end, this guy with 11 kills killed me, so GG. Oh, you gotta know I watched him die. You can tell by game 14, I was really starting to understand how to move around this place. Like I said, it's definitely a confusing area if you don't go here all the time. Using my quad crasher, I entered a build fight, which I really honestly shouldn't have. I ended up getting 1 kill on the bottom of the structure, but while running away, I was shot in the back. I should have seen this coming. Game 15 was a hot bus. I got the top of the tower, even a rocket launcher. I saw a default on the bottom and rocketed him, but he dropped a porta fortress and answered with his own rocket. I'm telling you, when I first did these 100 drops, no one came to Polar Peak. I was alone a lot of the time. In game 16, the first kill I got was this distracted trog outside Frosty Flights. Grabbed a plane! I don't like the zombies. I just want to make that very clear. I really don't like the zombies, but I can appreciate some of the cool strategies that you can do when they're in the game. Doesn't mean I like them though. Made it to the final circle in this one. Still had rockets, so wasn't out of this one yet. This one was on top of a mountain, and I had the high ground. So with my final rocket shot, I won the game and floated down to safety. Game 17, I was alone again. Me me and all this loot. I tried to sprinkle a little bit of zombie killing throughout the 100 drops. 10 people left, that circle was getting small, and at this time, what happened then is more zombies would spawn. Oh, also I trapped in this default. He was a strong one though, so he didn't die instantly. He needed a little more encouragement. There was a challenge to get kills with shotgun damage, the loudest gun in the game, and of course I got attacked. I don't know why I started killing zombies when the circle got this small. I died. Ugh. Game 18, we're still using Flytrap. Haven't gotten a win with him yet. I managed to make it all the way down to Fatal Fields. Originally, I just wanted some materials, but instead I got a massive cluster of death and destruction. I don't really know what Epic Games was thinking when they brought the fog in. I wasn't a big fan of it. It just kind of made everything look pretty bad. But it didn't stop me from seeing this guy in the bush. Made it to a 1v1, final circle. I didn't get lucky this time, and I had to push towards the other guy. Oh, and I also had 60 mats to my name. I had a launch pad. I don't know why I didn't use it. I definitely would have put up a better fight than I did. After running out of mats in game 19, game 20, I pledged that I would find all the mats I could in Polar Peak. On the top floor, the bookshelves are pretty good, and there's quite a lot of them. Always make sure to get the Maeder too. It's solid metal. Of course, I've already talked about the table and chairs in this room, but the throne is also a really good source of stone. And if you need extra wood, there's 12 small trees outside that all give 30 wood apiece. Yeah, and the entire thing is made of stone as well. Anyway, I made it to the end game. I could smell this default hiding in a 1x1 from a mile away. Of course, he was a very easy kill, if it didn't take a little bit of time. If you've got mats and gliders, go for that sky base like I did here. Most of the time, especially with the zombies on the ground, it allowed me to shoot down on my opponents, but this time, he riffed it up to me. I've never seen anyone push a sky base like this before, and he got over the top of me pretty quickly. The last thing I wanted to do was fight this guy high up in the air, so I used a rocket to end it. When I looked back at the structure, somehow he didn't fall down. I could tell by the way he was building that he didn't have any gliders, which meant if I took down my sky base, he would fall, which he did, and I won. That one was weird, but we got it. Hey, game 21, we snuck our way into the final circle as well. The other guy did have to push towards me, but he had rockets, so it was a pretty even fight. I was very close to grabbing the high ground, but stumbled on my own building and lost it. I knew I was low on materials, but I shot him a couple times when he came in, so I knew he had to take some time to heal. The zombies helped hide my escape. I was able to get to better ground, but I built over the top of myself. This would prove to be a fatal mistake. Actually, I ended up doing a little bit of damage, but ran out of materials. I knew I would only have one shot, and I missed it, then died. Game 22, I messed up the drop, had to land at the small town nearby, and got killed by default. Then game 23 was a hot bus. I got one kill with my tack, then lost a tack battle. 24 was another hot one. If it wasn't for this series, I would never drop on a hot bus. It's just too crazy. Game 25 wasn't a hot bus at all, but I ended up dying just as quickly. Game 26 is full of really nice clips of me shooting people when they didn't know I was there. Killing all those helpless civilians led to me having a supreme amount of mats in the final circle, and when I looked down, the other guy was just helplessly running from the zombies in the open. That was a very easy win. Game 27, another hot bus this time, made it out okay. I have a horrible habit of not building defensively after I've killed people. Here, I should have immediately built a 1x1 as soon as I killed this guy, but because I didn't, I got 10th place. Game 28 started with a little shotgun party between me and this default. I broke the rules and brought out my SMG, but I didn't want to get killed by a default. Grabbed a plane, made it to Wailing Woods, and farmed mats incessantly. Then dropped down into the final circle, and it wasn't a great start for me. This is one of those games where the zombies just added so much craziness in this final circle. Right after I killed this guy, I was attacked by the only other player left. Oh, and some zombies, of course. I got the high ground, but the other player was smart enough to shoot out my floor. I didn't reload my rocket, then died. Game 29, something a little different. Played the pop-up cup with Maeder. Fighting in the library can prove to be difficult, but this time it was 2-on-1, so we didn't have much trouble taking this blue cat down. Time for a life lesson, kids. If you're way up in the air with gliders and you get shot down, don't immediately pull out your glider. You're a sitting duck. On my way down, I got shot by a guy with high ground. This is already not good for me. I didn't end up making it, but Maeder made it. Final circle, tons of zombies. Well, I guess at least this time both players were a little distracted by the zombies. With no materials, Maeder was forced to play the low ground, got swarmed by zombies, and died a horrible death. Game 30, we dropped right back into the pop-up cup. It was a little bit hot, but I used these dual pistols effectively for one time in my life. By the end, it was getting pretty crazy. Maeder died, and I was somehow able to escape with my life. I found out that you can hide by the zombie spawner if you kill all the zombies and then stay crouched. As long as you're crouched and don't move, the zombies will not see you. Though I couldn't sit there forever. The storm was gonna move eventually. And then, of course, when I started moving, I was swarmed by zombies. Not very good. Yeah, then the other team showed up. They had rockets and an extra person, so I wasn't really gonna last that long. Second place, 2 times in a row, not bad, we got points. Game 31, in the early game, the only guy I had to kill was this blue cat. I don't even really think he knew I was there. Yeah, but then later on, a sneaky Nog Ops got that first shot. I tried to place a trap down, but my floor was in the way, or I don't know, it was just confusing. I don't like that one. Game 32, the circle stayed over Polar Peak for an insane amount of time. This allowed me to build up tons of materials, a huge stone sky base. I mean, you're already pretty close to max height if you're on the top of Polar Peak anyway, right? The circle stayed in Polar Peak all the way until the end. The other player got lost at the bottom of the mountain, and I won the game. Nice to break in the skin within 2 games. By game 33, I did notice that more people on average were coming to Polar Peak. I think they were just finding out about the good loot here. Storm was pretty nasty, but I had a soccer skin on, so anything was possible. Tons of materials, great guns, no healing items. Every shot hurt real bad. When that circle started to move, I was pretty surprised. I thought I'd live a little longer. Game 34, I dropped directly into the butthole of Polar Peak. Up to 6 chests can spawn in the dungeon. Throughout the game, I used my great loot to snag a ton of kills. My favorite kill was when I used a plane to absolutely vaporize this Sergeant Winner. Oh yeah, and I killed the other guy too. Just adds to the clip. I was playing far too aggressively for my own good and eventually ran into a player that could challenge me. He ended up taking me down, but he died right next to me. Game 35, I was definitely going to kill this guy, but I was shot in the back while pushing in. By a default, At least he died. Game 36 was a pretty quiet game. This was nice as this became more rare, though I played pretty sloppily, missed all of my shots, and rightfully ended up in 36th place. This one I was sure we were gonna win. I powered up beforehand, and in the pregame lobby. I only ended up getting 1 kill in Polar Peak. I wouldn't recommend doing it this way, but you know, it ended up working. Near the end of the match, I flew into Viking Village. If the final circle's on top of a mountain, it's always best to be on top of that mountain. Got it down to a 1 versus 1. I had rockets, but also no idea where the other player was. I also had this launch pad here, but then he started shooting from under me. I used my 1 rocket in a panic, and I won the game. Don't mind me, just infinite dabbing my way through history. Something about that snowman doesn't look right. Maybe it's the legs. Don't worry, he almost killed me, but didn't. I was killing zombies and even being careful with the crossbow, but still got attacked! The only thing I even remotely wanted out of the Ice Storm challenges was the gun wrap. It's actually fairly cool looking. Oh, and I died in this game, so yeah. Let's just say that in game 39, I was left in a desperate situation on 1 health, and I didn't make it. And hey, in game 40, I even got 6 kills before being launched into 4th place. Made it all the way to the end in game 41 as well. Lots of zombos, no rockets, and no hope. Game 42, I'm not even sure what events led to this horrible situation. At least my ashes were sprinkled in tilted towers. Wait! This ain't salty! Game 43 started okay, until it didn't start okay. I got a gun. That didn't stop my attacker. I don't know why I went after the innocent bystander instead. That was just dumb. Totally dumb. By game 44, I was getting pretty good at dropping right on top of the castle. And for sure, the traffic was increasing to Polar Peak, but they were still confused little babies when it came to this place. Later on though, Final Circle got pretty nasty outside Paradise Palms. I was attacking this guy, getting shot by this guy on top of the mountain. It was just not good. I probably should have waited a little bit in Paradise Palms. Pushing into this build fighting was not a good idea, and it got me killed. Game 45 started a little bit crazy. This desperate man only had dynamite. I found a blue pump though, so the odds were definitely in my favor. As the floor collapsed, he could feel his options running thin, and I killed him. Yeah, in this game, I spent most of my time running around as a snowman. That's probably why I ended up in 4th place. Game 46 takes place after the 7.2 content update, when plane spawn rate was reduced. A lot of games I'd come to Frosty Flights to try to grab a plane, but in this one there were none. Can we get an F in the chat? Game 47, I came in a little low of the top drop. When this happens, go butthole! But this time someone got there first. I panicked, fell to my death. And yeah, I died. It was a quick one. That's okay because in game 48, I avoided everyone else in the match, flew down to the final circle, and won this game without getting a kill. In the tight corridors of Polar Peak, the Boogie Bomb still proves to be one of the most effective tools of taking down defaults. In this game, Polar Peak was pretty far away from the safe circle, and after the plane nerf, I didn't find one till it was just too late. Game 50, halfway done with these terrible zombies. Though this time, I got killed by a human. Game 51, I got to witness a duel to the death between 2 snowmen. In the end, I murdered both of them. Final circle on top of a mountain. We'll see what happens. Got it down to a 1 versus 1 and used my rockets to kill myself. Game 52 started fairly quietly. I went down to Salty and got a ton of kills. I ended up placing a ton of traps in Dusty Divot. That always ends up working out for me. But the last thing I expected was to land on someone else's trap. Feel free to use this strategy next season when the Spring King unleashes his spring zombies, because we all know they're not going away. I was low on shields, but there was a spawner in the center of the map. so around it I put a bunch of traps with metal walls. Then I built a structure above the spawner so zombies would continue to spawn. While sitting on top of this structure, I was able to get passive zombie kills while also fighting enemy players. This buffed my shields while I was fighting. Ultimately, this allowed me to take a ton of damage while dealing a lot of damage on my own. I also had a minigun, which a lot of people have stopped using since it got nerfed, but I used that legendary gun to get tons of wins. Game 54 started with the confused killing of a couple players in Polar Peak. For the rest of the game, I pretty much kept my nose clean. I said pretty much. This was a fairly easy one. Sprayed my assault rifle into a guy who couldn't see me, who was lost in the storm. I didn't even kill him either. That one was definitely unnecessary. I was in the same situation game 55, way up high in the final circle in a nice structure. But the other players were smart and shot me down. From there, I had to get up a mountain while the storm was encroaching. I had plenty of materials to do it. It's just hard. Also, quite a way to get second place. Game 56 doesn't really exist. It's just a very long file of me sitting on the pregame lobby. Good news, game 57 exists. Bad news, it's not good. Started off game 58 with a really nice snipe. You can see I have that icy assault rifle rep, but I still was killing zombies. I wanted to complete all the challenges. I figured I'm doing 100 games, I probably should. Though of course, killing zombies outside Salty Springs probably won't go that well for you. Nothing much interesting happened until the end of game 59. The block was this pyramid that also had some disco elements too. It was pretty cool. So I built a massive sky base. I'm telling you guys, step one, you see a guy with the sky base, shoot it down for the greater good. I'm gonna win if you keep me up here too long. Game 60 was played with the misses, and with our powers combined, we sniffed out the sneaky snowman. We were attacked quite a few times, and Tors ended up doing most of the work. We pretty much just dropped in to kill zombies together. It's way easier with a teammate. Getting all the big golden boys was probably the worst challenge. In the end, we were surprised. I went down, but Tors defended me until her dying breath. Game 61, we heard a default outside. We knew we wouldn't be able to kill both of us. Watching that one back, it's pretty obvious that I let her go first. It's fine, no one got hurt. Except the default. Again, we weren't really looking to win, we were looking for maximum zombie kills. So when the circle got small, we had tons of zombie kills, but no materials or weapons. Oh well. Attention noobs, if you walk through a doorway and see a stair in this sort of fashion, don't go in that room like this guy's about to do. I'll kill ya! In game 62, I was getting shotgun damage on zombies outside tilted towers. My death is implied, I'm not gonna show it. Game 63 was pretty boring. Looted all of Polar Peak, didn't kill anybody, and grabbed a plane. Until this guy showed up, I hopped in the back seat and clapped this kid quickly. Then got in the driver's seat and drove away like it was nothing. Oh, it counted for a challenge, cool. Later on, I saw Calamity killing zombies and got the first couple shots. I didn't build because I figured he couldn't shoot. But he could. Game 64 was a hot bus, so even John Wick didn't make it out. Because of the stone arches, sometimes it's difficult to put traps down. This time I tried, failed, and got killed by a default. Oh, and he walked away just fine. Game 66, I dropped in early, and this guy didn't have a gun. I decided to taunt him a little bit, but he had a little more fight left in him, and I almost ended up dying. This kill ended up being a little bit more graceful. Made it to the end without gliders, so I had to use balloons, but all my other guns were gold. I made it work. Shout out to the big old legendary boy for catching this rocket for me. I had already killed 8 other players, so when I found out the last guy in the match was a default, it wasn't that hard to take him down. 9 kill win, not bad. Not a record for me, but still not bad. Game 67 was a hot bus. I only had to kill 1 guy and I sniped him. I don't remember why. Who needs planes? I used a quad crasher and a balloon to get across the map this time. In this game, made it to the final circle on the best end of it. Another one of those games where I didn't have gliders, so I had to be a little bit more careful. I was almost out of materials, but I still had rockets, which gave me a fighting chance. The other guy plopped down in front of me and I forced him to get around. This, of course, got him caught behind his own metal structure. He got lost in the storm, and I won the game. We're still in that final circle in game 68 too. Got it down to another 1 versus 1 and tried my best to maintain high ground. Eventually, when the storm started to move, the perfect opportunity presented itself. I took it, then won. That's 3 in a row, but I guess that's getting pretty regular for us now, huh? Game 69, as you can tell, it was a pretty far storm and I didn't have anything to move with. I was able to scrounge together enough bus fare to get to tilted towers, but it was zombie infested. The pros taught me that a couple kills here can reset the balance, so I wanted to give it a shot. It wasn't gonna be easy. Found a nice juicy default outside L's, which I ended with just a little bit of pain. He had some good stuff, but not enough to keep me alive for much longer. We'll just skip to the end of game 70. I had no materials in the final circle, 1 versus 1. Other guy? Yeah, he's on top of that mountain with rockets. Really, I'm just surprised I made it this far to begin with. Game 71, I killed a ton of zombies near Polar Peak. So by the end, I had almost 90 zombie kills and some pretty nice stuff. Now it was a 1 versus 1, and the only other guy in the match was making tons of noise in an open field. So I shot him. Injured from my bullets, he tried to get away, but I knew he was on very low health. and I had a gold pump. Again, game 72 made it to the final circle. We had a string of pretty nice games. In this game, I had a rocket launcher, but it seemed like so did everyone else, and I left my wall open for far too long. Game 73, I was attacked by a man in a plane. I could tell by the way he flew that he was bad, so I killed him, but then someone else got me pretty quickly after. Game 74, this Nogops was so distracted by the zombies, he didn't hear the fish behind him. I killed that guy, and then killed zombies. This ain't a bad spot to do it. I was pushed outside the storm and left on low enough health where I knew I probably wouldn't make it. So I built up a little 1x1 and died by myself. Game 75 doesn't exist. We have the file, it just, again, cuts out on the loading screen. By game 76, I only needed a couple more challenges before I would get the sleigh. So I dropped in with Torres and Jake trying to get them done. And because we were focused a little too much on the zombies, we died. Same exact thing in game 76 as well. Game 78 was also a game of colossal zombie carnage. But that meant by game 79, I had completed all of the Ice Storm challenges and unlocked the sleigh glider. I don't really like it. It's a little big. And to tell you the truth, by this time I was definitely getting a little burnt out on the Ice Storm event. The zombies, everything. Game 80, I had everything I needed. A plane, rockets, pretty good health. But for some reason, I decided to shoot rockets out of my plane and jump down to try to kill the people below. Should have just stayed in the plane. If you haven't noticed, I've been placing fairly well while dropping Polar Peak. Like I've said before, it's a pretty confusing area, and not everyone knows how to stay alive. But if you can make it to the end game, staying alive requires a completely different set of skills. Yeah, I know I died by a trap, but at least the one I placed killed the guy that killed me. I know I just got done saying I've been placing pretty well, but not in this game. A Sergeant Winter killed me. Since the planes got nerfed, this quad crasher balloon strategy has been a lifesaver for me. Did a little experimenting with the snowman too, it's a great item. In the final circle I had my snowman, a ton of mats, and a minigun. I've won with less. As the circle gets smaller, the minigun becomes more deadly. The only other player in the match found that out the hard way this time. Shout out to the snowmen. I also unlocked the black cat in game 84. Let's see if I get lucky with it. Nope! In game 85, I was killed by a man with 2 rocket launchers. He deserved to win, but he didn't. In game 86, I was able to get a snowman on a plane. This was patched for several reasons. Honestly, I was just messing around in this one. I was pretty sick of these zombies. Can't wait till they come back next season. Trog Squad! We did okay. Lasted a pretty long time. Game 88, the Trog Squad was swarmed by zombies near Tilted Towers. Scattered and broken, we fell one by one. No, yeah, look, this is great. This is exactly what I want every single time I play Fortnite. Game 89, it's just broken. Game 90 looks okay, but it has this weird audio glitch that I didn't catch until I watched this one back. It sounds like this. 91 is exactly the same. I didn't realize this glitch was a thing until game 92 when I won with Toxic Trooper, and I wasn't gonna throw that one out. But in game 93, I fixed the sound. Hooray! Left on low health, my only option was to kill zombies, and I didn't have any quiet weapons. Whatever, the suffering's almost over. Game 94, I dropped in, got a trap and placed it, but it didn't go off. Then when going for the chest, I got shot in the back of the head. Not as bad as in game 95, mining the throne. Thought I was alone, but also got shot in the back of the head. Hey, at least when I dropped in game 96 with a trap, I had a little bit better timing and got the kill this time. Polar Peak was about to change, the center was melting, the traffic was insane. I like wearing these fake default skins sometimes. From a distance, you look like a default, but get up close and they'll realize that you're far from it. I survived the melting Polar Peak, only to be attacked by a John Wick in Fatal Fields. I missed some critical shots, but he didn't. Like I said before, Polar Peak was changing at the time. A lot more people were dropping in, but like this guy, most of them didn't know much. It was hot, so I left with a snowman. I didn't want to get shot in the back of the head again. I did manage to come across this default high up in the sky with some balloons. This would be a pretty easy kill. When I parked my plane, I didn't realize how close the storm was. I was also getting shot, which I handled. Later on, I put an incredibly obvious trap right here. To my surprise, it actually worked. Hey, you remember earlier when I talked about gliders? Here I'm in the final circle, way up in the sky, and I get shot down. I don't open the glider until the last minute. If you hover up in the sky, you're a very easy target, so get down low quickly. But in this game, I dropped right on top of a zombie spawner and pushed forward. Without zombies, it would have been way easier to just hold my ground against this guy. But instead, I had to push towards him. He killed me, and I lost. I'm not saying I definitely would have won, by no means, but the zombies definitely played a part of my loss, for sure. Game 98, a lot more guys dropping in, and this time they're getting smarter, but not that much smarter. At the base of Polar Peak, I saw Default hiding in a 1x1. That's the last time he tries to drink a Chug Jug. I didn't end up using that Chug Jug until I killed this player with my minigun outside Paradise Palms for some good loot. Literally all of my guns were gold and I had more than 1,000 materials. Strong ones too. I was feeling good, but I was still playing serious. Got it down to a 1v1 and now I had the minigun and rockets. This is the best situation possible. Oh, and he's being chased by a legendary legendary guy. This is awesome. Textbook! Built up so he had to push towards me, and I didn't even have to shoot him. He killed himself. It's almost over. Let's get an F in the chat and intensity. Game 99 started fantastically. I got all of Polar Peak to myself, which hadn't happened in a while. I used a plane to get all the way down to Junk Junction. It was noob harvesting time. If you don't understand the snowman life, you have never truly lived. It counts as 100 health, so even if someone does shoot you, you got a second to react. I was building and fighting insanely well this entire game. I'm not entirely sure what led my structure to collapse here, but it killed me. Game 100. The suffering is about to end. And the servers were down. No more zombies in this game. It was recorded around the time that the zombie event was going to end. I thought there was going to be some sort of event or something, but there wasn't. I think everyone wanted to check out the basement of Polar Peak. That's where all the action was happening. I'm not even lying. This man set up a turret. It's not designed for this. Oh, actually, he might be onto something here. The dust settled and I got a good chance to take a look at what happened in the basement of Polar Peak. I also checked the eggs in the back. I'm pretty sure they're dragon eggs. I'm not totally sure. I don't know. Could be anything, it's Fortnite. I was attacked by several different players. Just remember to always grab that high ground. And if the other guy does end up taking you down, it's always best to fight inside your own 1x1, for multiple reasons. While running from the storm, this Sergeant Winter tried to pounce on me, but he was trash. It's not his fault, and he's trying. Final circle was outside Tilted Towers in a ravine. The placement was really gonna matter on this one. 3 left, one I can tell is shooting rockets from afar, and the other is right in front of me. Nasty spot. Had to push towards the other guy and also had a guy under me. And when I tried to get down, I took a couple shots too. With 9 health, I had to push another player on top of a mountain. I had a chance, but it was pretty slim. Second place can hurt, but it's not the worst thing in the world. The drops are over, finally! I really thought that after 100 drops, I'd find something about the zombies I like, and I was totally wrong. I still don't like them. While I think they had a little bit more updates and were treated a little bit better this time around, they still weren't great. Still don't like them in Fortnite, and that's pretty much all I have to say on that. It's pretty simple. Let me know what you think about the zombies down in the comments section below. And if you liked the video, then hit the like button. I'd appreciate it. Also, next time you're gonna spend some V-Bucks in the Fortnite store, why not use my Support a Creator code? Enter code luke-thenotable in any Fortnite shop, and you'll support me with every V-Buck purchase. That's it for the video, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Stay notable. Bye-bye.